بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So we're now continuing our discussion regarding the ma'mur bihi. So the ma'mur bihi, the fa'al that you command to carry out. We discuss it being hasan li dhatihi, hasan li ghayrihi. In this lesson we're discussing being adāء or qadāء. Now adāء and qadāء, we're probably familiar with these words in terms of time. Salah. The salah is adāء, you perform the salah on time. The salah is qadāء, the salah is delayed slightly. But adāء and qadāء can also apply to non-salah, a non-time, like other than salah, other than sawm. So the definition is going to come up in the text, but just to get your mind familiar with, the term is, adāء means taslimu aynil wajib ila mustahiqihi. That adāء means to sallama yusallimu, to submit, hand over. Submit probably a good word. To submit, hand over, produce the wajib, i.e. the ma'mur bihi, ila mustahiqihi, to the person who it is due. So if you translate it as salah, it sounds a bit weird, but to perform the salah as it is due, ayn al-wajib, to the mustahiq. Obviously I don't want to translate that one. But let's say for example you have a material item. So bai' mushtari. So when you're giving the mabi can be the adāء. So you hand over the exact mabi to the person who is entitled to the mabi. This is called adāء. Fahimt? And qadāء is taslimu mithli al-wajib and then ila mustahiqihi. And wajib would mean here the ma'mur bihi. Fahimt? This is the same. So you have adāء and qadāء. So if you go through the text here, we say al-wajib bi hukm al-amri. The thing which becomes wajib by the command of the amr, by the amr. Two types, adā'un wa qadā'un. فالأداء Ibara means here name. Is a name. So adāء is a name for, is an expression of, or adāء is used to express, or adāء is used to explain. تسليم عين الواجب إلى مستحقه, to hand over, to submit, to give the wajib, the exact wajib, what becomes wajib to the mustahiq, whoever is entitled to it. والقضاء عبارة عن تسليم مثل الواجب إلى مستحقه. And qadāء means to give something, not the exact. This is ayn al-wajib, the exact wajib. This is مثل الواجب, something like the wajib, with some form of change or deficiency. Now moving forward, we say here ma'mur bihi, both the adāء and the qadāء. You can either have kamil, complete, or qasir means incomplete, with some kind of shortcoming or in it. So kamil and qasir. So you have ma'mur bihi can be either adāء or qadāء, and the adāء can be kamil or qasir. The qadāء can also be kamil or qasir. Everybody following? Yes? Any questions so far? Acha. ثم الأداء نوعان كامل وقاصر. Then both adāء and qadāء as well later on has two types, kamil and qasir. And he gives loads of examples of kamil. مثل أداء الصلاة في وقتها بالجماعة. Yes? To complete, to fulfill the salah in its time with jama'ah. That's an example of kamil. Similarly, التواف متوضئا. You perform a tawaf in a state of wudu. This is kamil. تسليم المبيع سليما كما اقتضاه العقد إلى المشتري. To hand over the mabi. So let's say I sold you this item for £5. To give this item to you as was agreed in the transaction is also called adāء. So the buy handing over the mabi to the mushtari as it was demanded, as was noted, as was arranged in the transaction, as the aqd, as the transaction request demands, as was agreed. Similarly, ghasib. What's ghasab mean? Ghasab means to take somebody's property, not theft, but it's to grab somebody's property and take control of it. So if you take that property, what's your responsibility now? To hand it over. To hand over the ghasib, this is the fa'il. For the ghasib, to hand over the exact al-ayn al-maghsuba. The thing here, ayn, the item that he snatched, as he snatched it. To hand it back over complete, this is called what? What is this called? This is called adāء and adāء kamil. These are some examples of adāء kamil. What's the ruling of adāء kamil? وحكم هذا النوع أن يحكم بالخروج عن الأحدة به. So the ruling of this type, if you do ada kamil bihi, by doing this type of ada, by doing ada kamil, the hukam will be given of khuruj anil uhda, of fulfilling the responsibility, coming out of the responsibility of obligation. So the ma'mur bihi, the person who's been commanded, he has come out of his obligation, he has fulfilled his obligation. Fahimt? If a person performs salah ma'al jama'a fi waqtiha, then he has done khuruj al-uhda, he has fulfilled his responsibility. If the ghasib hands over the ayn al-maqsuba to the maqsub minhu without any deficiency, he is now fulfilled his responsibility. Same with bay and tawaf, etc., etc. Is this clear to everybody? Achha, now he's got a more complex detail. Example. So based on this rule, he says here, al-ghasib إذا باء المغصوب من المالك. Okay, let's understand. Before we go into the text, let's understand the mas'ala. It's called the suratul mas'ala. What's the mas'ala talking about? This is the malik, this is the maghsub. Correct? So the malik owns the phone. Is it upside down or is it right side up? I don't know. The malik owns the phone. What happens now? The ghasib does ghasab of the item. So now the item belongs to whom? No, but it still belongs to the malik, but who has possession of it? The ghasib. Now, if he hands it back over, yes, this, and he says, oh, I'm selling it to you. So when he gave it back, he just didn't give back and say, oh, I stole the item from you. Not stole back, because stealing is still different. I took the item from you, and I said, I'm selling it to you. When he gives it back, what does he say? I'm selling it to you. He said, I'm giving it to you as a pawn. I'm giving you a gift. Are you following? So he takes it without permission. What's this going to be called? The first time? Ghasab. He gives it back, not as a ada. What does he say? I'm selling it to you. I'm giving you as a pawn. I'm giving you as a gift. So now in this situation, when it's given back to him, what do we say? So what the masla is now? Al-ghasib idha ba'a. He sells it. So the ghasib ba'a al-maghsuba. He sells the phone back to the malik. Yes? Aw rahanahu innahu. Or he gives it to him as a rahan. Or he gives it to him as a hiba. وَسَلَّمَهُ إِلَيْهِ. And he actually hands it over to him. You would say, يَخْرُجُ, أي the ghasib has fulfilled his responsibility. Not akhlaqan, but in terms of the court, in terms of the law. He has fulfilled responsibility. Yes? وَيَكُونُ ذَلِكَ أَدَاءً لِحَقِّهِ. This will be considered fulfilling his responsibility. This is the dots are wrong here. وَيُلْغَى مَا صَرَّحَ بِهِ مِنَ الْبَيْءِ وَالْهِبَةِ وَالرَّهْنِ. We would, where? Huh? Or وَيَلْغُ. Yeah, that is يَلْغُ, لَغَى يَلْغُ, to become لَغْوَ. And يُلْغَى will be made لَغْوَ. So both will fine. So يُلْغَى ya يَلْغُ, both is fine. What will you say? Whatever, when he said, I am selling it to you, I am doing hiba to you, I am giving a rahan to you, those words are null and void. Fahimt? If you go back over here to the previous text, we would say, what has he done? He has the maghsoob, he has handed it back over to the malik, he has done ada. Fahim? By giving it back to him, what's he done? Ada. If it's not damage, it's ada, kamil. And this is laghu. That has no statement. No price will be due, no hiba ruling. It's just he gave it back, and those are laghwa. Yes, that's a masla. Why? Because as long as the ghasib does taslim of the ayn al-wajib ila mustahiqihi, now it's ada and this is kamil. And all the other words he said, bay and hiba, has become laghwa. Do you understand the ruling here? Similarly, law ghasaba ta'aman. It's three masalas here. Three masala. Law ghasaba ta'aman. فَأَتْأَمَهُ مَالِكَهُ وَهُوَ لَا يَدْرِي أَنَّهُ تَعَامَهُ. What does he do? The ghasib, instead of taking a phone, what does he do? In the first situation, the maghsoob minhu, the owner, he can tell, this is my phone, come back to me. In the second situation, in these three masail, the ghasib, the person who has done ghasab and taken the item without permission, he has taken the item, he's returned it to the maghsoob minhu, meaning the malik, but in a way the malik is not even aware. So we say it's not shart for the malik to know that he's been given the item back. Once he gave it back to him, it is fine. فهمت? Let's say, for example, I took one biscuit from you. What did I do? I took one small biscuit from you. This is ghasab. And then I crushed it and put it in a cupcake. And I gave the cupcake to you. This is adāء. فهمت? So, لو غصب طعاما, he taken food. Then he fed the Malik. That means he done what? Taslim of the Ayn al-Wajib. But the Malik does not know it is his food. It's not his food. أو غصب ثوبا. He got some clothing. And he put it back onto him. He clothed it to him. I don't know how you can change it. He doesn't know it's his clothing. Maybe he put dye on it. He changed the form. He changed the shape. يكون ذلك أداء لحقه. Or maybe he put it he covered it up. Or maybe he closed his eyes and it was a shirt. And he put the shirt up the shirt, put the jubbah. So the shirt's underneath. He doesn't know he has it on. Whatever situation, if the ghasib gives it back to the what? Malik. Without the Malik knowing he's received it. What will happen? It will be as أداء لحقه. So far so good? The third example, or the fourth example, third on this slide, fourth altogether. Everybody following so far? والمشتري في البيع الفاسد. What do we have? A bay. So there's a buy and there's a mushtari, the seller and the buyer. What happened now? The bay became fasid. Because of some extra element to the bay, what's happened? The bay has become fasid. لو أعار المبيع من البائع. The mushtari has taken the item in a bay al-fasid. Yes? If he gives the mabi' to the ba'i, how? A'ara, he lends it. What does he do? He lends it to the mabi', or he gives it to him as a pawn, or he ajarahu minhu, he rents it to him, or sells it back to him, or gives it to him. وَسَلَّمَهُ, and he just gives it over to him. They make the agreement and he hands it over to him. He says, I'm going to sell it to you. I'm going to lend it to you. I'm going to give it to you as a pawn. I am going to do all of this. يَكُونُ ذَلِكَ أَدَاءً لِحَقِّهِ. This will become أَدَاءً لِحَقِّهِ. وَيَلْغُ يَا يُلْغَى مَا سَرَّ بِهِ مِنَ الْبَيْءِ وَالْهِبَةِ وَنَحْوِهِ. Why? Because أَدَاء كامل means you give the person his item, give him exactly what is due. Once he does that, that's fine. Then if it's some additional excess baggage, like saying, I'm selling it to you, I'm lending it to you, we say that it's not lending, it's not renting, it's not selling, it's not hiba. You've given him back, and all those things become laghwa. And the qazi will say, the what? The ghasib or the mushtari has returned the item. For him? Yes? Acha. Adā'u qāsir. Wa amma al-adā'u al-qāsir. What's incomplete ada'? Taslimu ayn al-wajib. You give the wajib, the exact wajib. But there is some deficiency in its quality. What is there? There is some deficiency in the quality. نحو الصلاة بدون تعديل الأركان. For example, salah without ta'dil al-arkan. What do we have? Salah without ta'dil al-arkan. For meaning you do salah, but ta'dil al-arkan means what? That after you go into ruku, you pause completely. Then you get up. You do qawma, and then you pause completely. You go into sajda, your body comes to a full stop. So this is wajib. So if you perform salah, you have done tasreem of the ayn al-wajib. Correct? However, if you don't do ta'dil al-arkan, we say you're given the ayn al-wajib, but sifa is missing. So this ada is what? Incomplete. You do tawaf. For us, tahara is not a shart. Tahara is a wajib, it's not a shart. So if you do tawaf without tahara, what happens? You've done the ada, but it's qasir. وَرَدُّ الْمَبِيءِ مَشْغُولًا بِالدَّيْنِ أَوْ بِالْجِنَايَةِ. What happens? You return the mabi', you hand over the mabi'. However, the only situation would be here is biddain. If you have an abdun ma'zun, what do you have? Abdun ma'zun. Who's an abdun ma'zun? That you have a servant, a slave, and you've allowed this slave to do business. Yes? What have you done? You've allowed the slave to do business. And when the slave then, so what happens? Let's say you sold me a slave, correct? And then I allowed the slave to do business. But what did the slave do? He made a loss, or the slave now owes money. Correct? Now, if the slave he can't fulfill the money, what happens? Who is it going to? The master. So now, if you were to, this is the slave, you sold it to me. I allowed him to do business. Now what happens now? He becomes madyun. He has a dain on him. Then I hand it back to you. I said, I return the item, I return the slave back to you, the seller. He's now mashghulun bid-dain. Now he's now, I've handed over the ayn al-wajib, but what happens now is deficiency in the sifa. Do you understand? Are you following? Everybody following online? Similarly, the slave came to me, but when he came to me, he did a crime. He did theft. He did murder. So what happens now? What happens now? Huh? Is now qisas upon him. So now he's mardud bil jinaya. So now it's taslim ayn al wajib, but it's nuqsan in the sifa. He came to him without dain. He came without jinaya. Now he's being returned with dain or jinaya. Fahimt? Similarly, ورد المغصوب مباح الدم أو مشغول بالدم والجناية بسبب عند الغاصب. Or instead of bay, what do? Same situation, but the maqsoob is a slave. I snatched your slave away from me. I snatched your slave away from me, from you. Yes, and I'm using it. I'm using him. And then what happens? He then murder. What is by me? And now it goes back to you. But now what's going to happen when he's then murder? He's mubahud dam. Or mashghulun bid-dayn wal jinaya, as explained above. Because why? Bisababin indal ghasib. Because of something that happened by me. When he was in my possession, I didn't ghasab of it. In my possession, he became mubahud dam, or he became mashghulun bid-dayn wal jinaya. Then I gave it back to you. I returned the ghasab. This is now what? Ada'un qasir. Fine? Because I'm giving over the same slave. What is this? Ada'. But it's a nuqsan in the sifa, so it becomes ada'un qasir. Understood? Acha. وأداء الزيوف مكان الجياد إذا لم يعلم الدائن بذلك. Acha. Or giving the zuyuf. What does zuyuf mean? You have jayyid and zayyif. When you have coins, you have the good coins and you have coins that are merged with some gold, some iron and metals, etc. So you have gold coin or you have a silver coin. So if you give zuyuf, meaning not the good ones that are like half or less than 50, like less than 100%, in place of jiyah. So basically you got dirham, but the dirhams are molded differently. So there's a high percentage of metal or iron or something in the silver or the gold. So if you do zuyuf instead of jihad, and the da'in does not know about this. If the da'in knows, he's accepted it, isn't he? Then he said, well, he's happy to take this currency, the currency of dirham and dinar, which is not 100% gold, or it's got high concentration of metal or iron or whatever. If he knows about it, he's accepted it, that's not a problem. But if he doesn't know about it, and you give him zuyuf, then what happens is ada', but what is it? Qasir. Fahim? Yes? Understood? Acha, moving on. What's the rule of ada' qasir? وحكم هذا النوع أنه إن أمكن جبر النقصان بالمثل ينجبر به. First situation, it's two aspects, it's two rulings. If it is possible, injibar is to make up, bring together, follow up. If it is possible to do jabr of the nuqsan, what's possible? To make up the nuqsan bil mithl. The shortcoming has come about. What do? You can make up for it with a mithl, something that's like it. Yanjabiru bihi. The ruling would be, okay, fulfill that ruling. So a similar example would be, let's say the slave has a dain of £500. What do? The mushtari or the ghasib bought the slave or snatched the slave. Then he allowed him to eat business and he became madyun. How much dain is he in? £500, and he gave it back. What's the shortcoming? £500. You have to give £500 as a mithl. So in that situation, it's possible to do in jabr of the nuqsan. Fahim? وَإِلَّا يَسْقُطُ حُكْمُ النُّقْصَانِ. If there is no mithl, if that quality cannot be matched up and made up, you say there's no ruling in court. There's no ruling in court. In the law, the qazi will say, there's nothing we can do about this because there's no mithl. What the shortcoming has come about, there's no price for this. There's no way we can make up for this. Illa fil ithmi, and then he's putting a little qaid here that in the hereafter it's different. You have to either ask for forgiveness or you have to do something, and ethically, etc. That's different. But in terms of the pure ruling in court is that because the shortcoming has taken place here, it can't be made up. Because it can't be made up, there's no something to make up for it. What will happen? We say it's become saqit. فهمت? Example. وعلى هذا إذا ترك تعديل الأركان في باب الصلاة لا يمكن تداركه بالمثل إذ لا مثل له عند الأب فسقط. If you perform salah and you don't do ta'dil of arkan, so how do you make up? So for example, if you miss a ruku, if you miss a sajda, you do taqdeem or ta'khir of a wajib. The Sharia has said the mithal of this is what? Sajdu sahwa. So sajdu sahwa does what? Makes up for the tark of a ruku, tark of a sajda, or taqdeem or a ta'khir. Correct? But ta'dil arkan, it doesn't have a mithal in Sharia. So if you miss la yumkinu tadaruku bil mithal, nothing can make up for the ta'dil arkan. So for yasqutu, it becomes saqit. There's nothing you can do to make up ta'dil arkan. So we say, well, you have fulfilled responsibility, and thus now in the dunya, the mufti will say, you do not need to repeat your salah. Mufti will say, there's nothing you can do. In the Allah, that salah is accepted or not, whether it's thrown back in his face or not, it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in terms of the fatwa, I say this is the ruling. Illa fil ithmi. فهمت؟ अच्छा, next example. ولو ترك الصلاة في أيام التشريق فقضاها في غير أيام التشريق. In the days of Tashriq, yes, in the days of, from the day of Arafah, the day of Eid, and the Ayyam al-Tashriq afterwards. After Salawat, what do we have? We have Takbir al-Tashriq. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil Hamd. So after the Salawat, we recite these loudly. Correct? So if a person was to miss Salah in the Ayyam al-Tashriq, he will do Qadha of them in غير أيام and not he will then he does the Qadha of this Salah in غير أيام التشريق لا يكبر. He will not do takbir. Why? لأن ليس له التكبير بالجهل شرعا. Because there is no the sifa of doing takbir loudly. It says here الجهر بالتكبير بدعة إلا في زمان مخصوص. To do takbir loudly, collectively, loudly, is what? Only in Ayyam Tashriq is permissible. Apart from this, what is it? Is what? Is bid'ah. So therefore, the sifa of jahr, right? Yes, the sifa of jahr is going to be what? Is saqit. There is no make up for this. You understand? So you miss the qadha salah. If you do qadha in Ayyam Tashriq, can you do it? Can you do takbir? Yes, because takbir is mashru in ayyam takbir. Are you following? Do you understand? You can do takbir in the ayyam tashriq. If you miss a fajr, and the very same day you do qadha, you can do takbir loudly. Yes, because that's permissible. The sifa of doing takbir loudly after ayyam tashriq, what happens then? It's not permissible. So therefore, you cannot make up for the takbir. So therefore, what will happen? What will you say? There's no way of doing qadha of the takbir. Takbir becomes saqit. Fahim? There's no way of making up for this. Do you understand? Does that make sense? Yes? Example number 3. Acha. What do we say? What's the ruling again? The ruling is, if you can make up for it, you make up for it. If you can't make up for it, it becomes saqit. So we say, في ترك قراءة الفاتحة والقنوت والتشاهد وتكبيرات العيدين أنه يجبر بالسهو. These have a khalaf, these have a deputy. The Sharia said that sajdatu sahw is a mithal of all of these. Yes, it's a mithal shar'i. The Sharia said that sahwa makes up for Fatiha, sahwa makes up for qunut, sahwa makes up for tashahud, ila akhirihi. Therefore, if you miss one of these, what would you do? You have to do the ada. You then ada. You perform the salah without Fatiha. You perform the salah without qunut. You perform the salah without tashahud. You perform the Eid without takbir. What's missing now? The sifa is naqis. It's ada'u qasir. Can you make up for the sifa? Yes, by doing sahwa. So when you do sahwa, you've made up for the shortcoming. Now it's ada'un kamil. Understood? Yes. Fourth example. وَلَوْ طَافَ تَوَافَ الْفَرْضِ if a person does the tawaful fard, what's tawaful fard? The farz tawaf in Hajj, also known as tawaful ziyarah or tawaful sadr. The tawaf performed after returning from Mina. If he performs it without what? Wudu. Yujbaru dhalika bid-dam. Sharia has said there's a compensation for this. What's the compensation? Dam. There's a jinayat in Kitabul Hajj. وَهُوَ مِثْلٌ لَهُ. It is a mithl for in Sharia. Yes, meaning sacrificing an animal does not match wudu, does it? Wudu and sacrificing an animal, they're two different things. But the Sharia said that sacrificing an animal and feeding the animal to the meat to the poor will make up for the wudu. For him, yes. وَعَلَى هَذَا لَوْ أَدَّى زَيِّفًا مَكَانَ جَيِّدٍ. Based on this, had he given zayyif makana jayyid? What did he give? He gave what? He gave zayyif instead of jayyid. Now, what will happen? Let's take an example here. What we're saying is, before we go into this masala, let's look at the surah of the masala. If you give dain, what do you give? Jayyid. Or, it's called ada'un kamil. Yes? Meaning the proper good quality dirham, you give it back. This is called ada'un kamil. If you give zayyif, two possibilities. And we're talking about when the person, the ba'i or the madyun, not the da'in, these people were not aware of it. If he's aware of it, he check, he's happy with it, it's not a problem. So what we're saying here now, if the person is owed money, either he's a ba'i, either he is the person who's owed money. If he was given zayyif, if he's given jayyid, the ada is kamil. If he's given zayyif, and then he becomes to know that it is zayyif, what happens now? And the zayyif money, the zayyif dirham is still in his possession. What would he say? Hatta ittala, he found, this is not full, this is not the one this is not proper. Is ada'un qasir, yajibu injibaru bin nasr. What do you have to do? Fil fasq. He would say, no, I don't want this. Take it back. Take it back and give me the right one. For him, a normal situation. However, if I have used them, I sent it to somebody else, and he was happy with the quality. Yes? Or I destroyed them, I lost them. What happens now? If I still have them, we say, well, how do you do injibar? Simple. Return it and take it back. Return it and get the good ones. But when I've given it up, I've sold it to somebody else, or I destroyed them, I lost them, I can't find them anymore, I melted them, whatever, I did something with it. What happens now? What do we do now? That's the masala. So the masala is, لَوْ عَلَى هَذَا لَوْ أَدَّى زَيِّفًا مَكَانَ جَيِّدٍ. If he were to give zayyif instead of jayyid, فَهَلَكَ إِنْدَ الْقَابِضِ. When he took it, it got destroyed. لَا شَيْءَ لَهُ عَلَى الْمَدْيُونِ إِنْدَ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. Imam Abu Hanifa says, there's nothing. Because he didn't have the item anymore. Are you following? لأنه لا مثل was it لا لصفة الجودة منفردا. What's that saying in the book? Yeah, لصفة لا مثل لصفة الجودة منفردا. Like being 100% good and being 80% silver and 20% iron, there's no way you can make up for that. It has no mithl. The sifa of being good on its own, there's no way making that up. So you can't do jabr bil mithal. You understand? If you give it back and take it all full, that's fine. But how do you calculate the ziyafa or it being zayyif in there? Not possible. Do you understand? So therefore, when it's not possible to make up for it, it becomes saqit. When it's possible, you do first and take it back. So Imam Abu Hanifa, Sahibain different here slightly. But Imam Abu Hanifa's principle is, you only do injibar when injibar is possible. If there's no mithal, it becomes saqit. So the sifatul jawda has no mithal, so it becomes saqit. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem, amma ba'd. So now we're moving on to the sixth example of ada and qada. So the text is given us here is walau sallama, and the dhama'ir are a bit obscure, so I added dhama'ir myself. So the ghasib or the ba'i, al-abda mubah ad-dam. So what's the situation here? So what do we have here? We have a Malik. And the Malik owns a slave. Or we have the Ba'i, he's selling, and he has a slave he's selling. Now what happens? The Ghasib takes the property from the Malik. So in both situations, who's entitled to the slave? The Malik is his own slave, it is Maqsoob, and the Mushtari, because he's paid the price for the Mabi'. Understand property, what's happening so far? What happens after that? That's supposed to be a fire, a police siren. So the Maqsoob or the Mabi' done a crime. And because of this crime, is a jinayah upon him. Yes, either he committed a murder, a theft, a rape, something which caused him to become mubahud dam. Fahim? And where did it occur? In whose possession was the Maqsoob and the Mabi' at that time? By the Ghasib or the Ma'i. Now when they hand over, the criminal charge doesn't drop. The criminal charge still remains in place. If you say it drops, then what will happen? Like you just sell it and then you won't have any. Yes, so the criminal charge remains in place. So in this situation, what will happen now? Now after this, the criminal charge took place. But then what happened to the slave? He died. That's supposed to be coughing. He died. Yes? So before anything could happen, what happened? He died. He was supposed he was mubahud dam, he did a crime, he did a murder. So because of that murder, capital punishment was going to take place on him. What happened after that? He died before he could even get capital punishment. You see the situation was happening here? Okay. So now, the money that is owed for the Mabi', he'll have to pay. Why? Because he gave him the Mabi', then taslim of Mabi', didn't it? And the nuqsan that was going to happen, it didn't really occur. Because he took full use of the Mabi'. He died of natural causes by him. The death took place by him. For him. So now, he'll have to pay the money. And he's also bari'u dhimma. For him. So if the Maqsoob or the Mabi' slave done a crime by the Ghasib or the Ba'i, then they did taslim of the Maqsoob or the Mabi' with the jinayah still on him, but then he died, the slave died before anything can happen. You would say the price is still due and the Ghasib bari'u dhimma, because that crime had no effect on the Adha. Because he died afterwards, you used full usage of him. However, if the police came and they done what? They took him and they did the punishment on him, then what would happen? Discuss that. Isn't that Surah Masla? So what we're saying here is, وَلَوْ سَلَّمَ الْغَاصِبُ أَوِ الْبَاعِ, if the Ghasib or the Ba'i give the slave over to who? The Maqsoob minhu, the Malik, or the Mushtari. بِجِنَايَةٍ إِنْ دَ الْغَاصِبِ أَوْ إِنْ دَ الْبَاعِ, and this jinayah took place by the Ghasib, or this jinayah took place where? By the Ba'i. بَعْدَ الْبَيْء, after but before the qabd. If there's qabd, then there's no masla here. So qabla al-qabdi. Yes? فَإِنْ هَلَكَ الْعَبْدُ إِنْ دَ الْمَالِكِ أَوِ الْمُشْتَرِ قَبْلَ الدَّفْءِ, if that slave dies by the Malik, or the slave dies by the Mushtari before paying the price, lazima al-mushtariya, ay lazimahu. Who's the referring to? The Mushtari. The money will become compulsory and binding upon the Mushtari. وَبَرِئَ الْغَاصِبْ بِإِعْتِبَارِ أَصْلِ الْأَدَى, and the Ghasib is bari'u dhimma, he has fulfilled responsibility because he then Adha, he gave it back. But that nuqsan did not cause any harm to the Malik or the Mushtari. He got the item and then it died. But when the person died, there's nothing. Let's say there's the punishment. So there's nothing. So let's say for example, there was an aib. Let's say for example, you bought some meat off me, and there was an aib in the meat, and you ate it, consumed it. You didn't know about it. Did it harm you in any way? So how can you? Is no following. I will get sin for deceiving or whatever, but you've used it up and you use it as normal. Let's say for example, the expiry date had gone, but I know that the expiry date is not going to cause you any harm. So really, I kind of deceive you by giving you something gone, by not declaring the expiry date. Are you following? I did not declare the expiry date. Yes. So now after you consume it, you can't say, oh, it's expired. Well, it didn't cause you any harm. It wasn't damaged. Alhamdulillah. You didn't get sick. So we say, well, it's fun. You've used it. وَإِن قُتِلَ. However, وَإِن قُتِلَ بِتِلْكَ الْجِنَايَةِ. If the police caught him and then capital punishment on him, what would happen? أُسْتُنِدَ الْحَلَاقِ إِلَى أَوَّلِ سَبَبِهِ. We will say, who caused the halak? The ba'i, or the ghasib. So in this situation, he's not bari udhimman, he's not, no qima is necessary. فَكَأَنَّهُ لَا يُوجَدُ الْأَدَاءُ عِنْدَ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah, in this situation, there's no ada. He has an ada of it. Because you gave him the mabi, and then the police take away, protect mabi, and then comes Kusas on him. So he's not an ada. But if he died, then the ada is finished. Do you understand? Fahim? Does that make sense to everybody? Acha. Yes, is that clear to everybody online? Acha. Moving on. وَالْمَغْصُوبَةُ إِذَا رُدَّتْ حَامِلًا بِفَعْلٍ إِنْدَ الْغَاصِبِ. If the maghsuba, if somebody is snatched away, instead of a slave, what is snatched away? A girl, a slave girl. And then he returned it while she was pregnant. Yes, la qadar Allah. Yes, some evil thing went on there. For him. Now, how did she become pregnant? Where? At the ghasib. Yes? Again, not this is the thing. If this happened, what would happen in court? What would the Muslim judge say? Yes? So now, what will happen? فَمَاتَتْ بِالْوِلَايَةِ إِنَّ الْمَالِكِ. Then when she was giving birth, what happened? She died. Where? After she was returned back to the owner. لَا يَبْرَأُ الْغَاصِبْ أَنِ الذِّمَانِ إِنْدَ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. The ghasib have to give dhiman. Because who was the cause of her death? The ghasib. So therefore he has to give dhiman. It's as if he never done ada. He never gave back the snatched away property. That's another masla. With the adultery case or whatever, that's another masla. Yes, that's to do with hudud, not to do with ada, qasa, ada. Fahim? But the usool we're doing here is to do with ada. Fahim? Acha. What's the ruling of ada qasir? ثم الأصل في هذا الباب هو الأداء كاملا أو ناقصا. So what comes first? Ada, qada? Ada. As long as ada is possible, you never go to qada. What comes first? And can you do both? Ada and qada? I said no, only do one. وإنما يصار إلى القضاء إن تعذر الأداء. We only do qada when ada is what? متعذر. We only do what? We only do qada when ada is muta'adhir. Example of this. Acha. What we have to remember is one masala. You done this already in Quduri, but let's repeat the masala. That when you have dananir and dirham, you have money. What do we have? Dinar and darahim, silver coins. Dananir, gold coins. When we have gold and silver coins, they do not become muta'ayyan fil uqud wal fusukh. Fahim? Meaning, if I said, I'm going to pay you, we're doing a transaction. Yes? I said, I'm going to pay you 5 darahim. Now, if I said, I gave you 5 darahim, I showed you 5 darahim in my hands. And they're jayyid. As long as I can give you another 5 dirham if I want to. Because I want those 5 dirhams. As long as they're both good quality, the right quality, no fraud in it. Yes? In both situations, what happens? It's fine. They don't become muta'ayyin. You can't say, oh, we agreed on this mabi'. Sorry, on this thaman. These 5 dirhams, not these 5. As long as they're both good quality, they're not fake, you can't, it's not muta'ayyan. If we do iqala, we do fasakh. You can't say, I want my exact 5 pound note back, or my exact 5 dirham back. 5 dirham. Yes? So dinar and danari do not become fasakh in what? Do not become fasakh in what? Do not become muta'ayyan in aqd and fasakh. However, in wadi'ah, wakala and ghasab, they become muta'ayyan. So if you have a wadi'ah, so if you give me your 20 pound, it becomes muta'ayyan. This is the amana. If I mix it with mine, it becomes a qarz now. Is that okay? I borrowed 20 pound off you, I owe you 20 pound. What's the difference? If I have your 20 pound and I kept it separate, and it's muta'ayyan, this is 20 pound, and they get stolen from me, I'm not zamin, because I'm not zamin for wadi'ah. As long as I didn't do any kind of negligence, I had amana got stolen from me, I tried my best, it got stolen, I'm not responsible. If I mix it with mine and I remove the 20, you don't know, it's not ta'yin. What happens now? 20 pound got stolen, that's my 20 pound got stolen. I still owe you the 20 pound. Fahimt? So in wadi'ah, wakala and ghasab, if I stole 20 pound from you, I have to give back the same 20 pound. Fahimt? So in wadi'a, wakala and ghasab, what happens? The thaman, the darahim and the nani become muta'ayyan. In bay and fasq of bay, it doesn't become muta'ayyan. Now based on that masala, moving forward, وَلِهَذَا يَتَأَيَّنُ الْمَالُ فِي الْوَدِيءَ وَالْوَكَالَ وَالْغَصَبِ. What comes first? Ada, qada. Ada. So if you have these 5 dirham and those 5 dirham, you snatch these 5 dirhams away. What do you have to give back? The very same 5 dirham. Because in ghasab, they become muta'ayyan. I made you a wakil. Then that 5 dirham become muta'ayyan. I gave you wadi'a. Those 5 dirham become muta'ayyan. فهمت؟ ولو أراد المودع والوكيل والغاصب أن يمسك العين ويدفع ما يماثله ليس له ذلك. Who's the muda? The person who's given a wadi'a, an amana, a trust. So if, for example, I give you 20 pounds as a what? Amana, you're the muda. Yes, I gave it as to you. It's maf'ul. What happens then? You want to do what? Yumsikul ain. You say, I want to keep that 20 pounds that you gave me and give you وَيَدْفَعُ مَا يُمَاثِلُهُ and يَدْفَعَ مَا يُمَاثِلُهُ مَا يُمَاثِلُهُ. And what they want to do instead? Give you something which is equal to it. لَيْسَ هُ that. I can't do that. Why? Because the ayn is the ada. The exact 5 dirham is the ada. The other one is what? Qada. Wakil, same thing. The wakil decides that he wants to do what? Give another 5. Ghasib. Yes? He then ghasab. He wants to give something. He said, well, you have to give the ayn first. The exact 5 dirham. Exact 5 pound. Exact 5 thing. If that's not available, then you can do that. Qada. But what will come first? Ada will come first. Do you understand? Acha. Similarly. وَلَوْ بَاءَ شَيْئًا وَسَلَّمَهُ. If he sells something. Yes, what I'm selling this pen. I've sold you this pen. And I hand it over to you. Then what happens? فَظَهَرَ بِهِ عَيْبٌ. Then you realize the pen is broken, the tip's broken, it's worn out. كَانَ الْمُشْتَرِي. You're the mushtari. بِالْخِيَارِ. You have a choice. بَيْنَ الْأَخْذِ وَالتَّرْكِ فِيهِ. You can either take it as it is or leave it. Why? لأن هذا الأداء قاص لا كامل. If I gave it to you with an aib, what have I given to you? أداء كامل or أداء قاصر? أداء ناقص قاصر. So I'm not an ada, have I? So you can say I don't want it. I want my full ada. My right is a full ada. You need to give it to me without any aib. When you give it to me with an aib and a fault and a defect, I am not entitled to what? I am entitled to leave it. If I want to, I can say, okay, no problem. I'm happy with that defect. Do you understand? You following? So another example. Everybody following me so far? وَبِاعْتِبَارِ أَنَّ الْأَصْلَ هُوَ الْأَدَاء. Now here, Imam Shafi rahmatullah uses this very same principle and it goes against us in a bit of a way. So on this principle, that the ada, asal is ada, Imam Shafi rahmatullah, what's his masla? We don't know his dalil, but we're just saying this. That Imam Shafi rahmatullah, he's just very same principle. What's the principle? Ada will come before qada. What does he say? الواجب على الغاصب رد العين المغصوبة وإن تغيرت في يد الغاصب تغيرا فاحشا وَيَجِبُ الْأَرْشُ بِسَبَبِ النُّقْصَانِ. What is he saying? The asal is ada, and what comes afterwards? Qada. And you only go to qada when ada is muta'adhir. So based on this, we say, if I had done ghasab of a property, I done ghasab of this pen from you, on any item, the asal hukam of that ghasab is to do what? Return the item as it is. Correct? Achha. What if there's taghayyur in the item? There's two types of taghayyur. Taghayyur fahish and taghayyur ghair fahish. Fahish means extreme. Let's say, for example, I bought flour off you. No, I snatched flour off you. A bag of flour. You were going on the road and I snatched the flour off you. Yes, a bag of flour to make roti. And then I made it to roti, made it into a cake. That's taghayyur fahish, isn't it? Are you following? So if this taghayyur fahish, what happens now? That's a khilaf now. What's the asal? No, the asal is ada, isn't it? Huh? That's what Imam Shafi rahmatullah is saying. That if the ghasib has to return the aynul maghsuba, even if it changes in the yadul ghasib, taghayyurun fahish, even if it changes a lot. Fahim? وَيَجِبُ الْأَرْشُ بِسَبَبِ النُّقْصَانِ. Any shortcoming, what happens now? You have to pay the ziman, the defect money. Are you following me? Compensation, arsh compensation. Are you following me? Yes? So he's saying that, look, what's the asal? Ada. So therefore, even if it's taghayyur fahish, I don't want to like quote Imam Shafi, I don't know his madhab properly. I don't even know our madhab properly, by the way. But if Imam Shafi, but he's saying that the asal is ada. So because the asal is ada, even if the item has undergone extreme change, you still have to do what? What do you have to do? You have to give that item back and then give the shortcoming in money. But you have to give the original item back. Because why? The asal is ada. وعلى هذا, based on this Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi, لو غصب حنطة فتحنها, what does he do? He grabs wheat, not the wheat, but and then he what? He grinds it. It's changed completely, isn't it? From hinta to becomes wheat. Sajatan is a kind of like a wood, like a kind of wood that they would use for foundation or for building a roof or laying across the roof, like one of those big pieces of wood. فَبَنَى عَلَيْهَا دَارًا, he snatched away what? One of those big pieces of wood, and then he built what upon it? A house. أَوْ شَاةً فَذَبَحَا وَشَوَاهَا, what did he do? He got meat, he slaughtered it and then roasted it. أَوْ عِنَبًا, he got grapes. فَأَصَرَهَا, what did he do? He made juice. أَوْ حِنْتَةً فَزَرَعَهَا, he got the wheat and he planted it, and then he made it into crops. In all of these scenarios, كان ذلك ملكا للمالك عنده. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi says what will happen? All of this, the taheen, the saja in the building, the new roasted meat, the asir, the zara, that becomes who's the ownership? Because what's the asal rule? Al-Adāء comes before qadāء. So you give it even if it's changed form. وَقُلْنَا, we said no. But we just get everything. So we said no, and this asal is a bit different. جَمِيعُهَا لِلْغَاصِبِ. Because why? The taghayyur fahish almost like it's changed the item altogether. It's a different item now. You following? So we say, who does the item belong to? The ghasib. The ghasib has changed the item, so you keep the item now. وَيَجِبُ عَلَيْهِ رَدُّ الْقِيمَةِ. But now what's the ishkal against us? You're doing qadāء when adāء is mumkin. You say that's not mumkin. When it's what you were saying before. When the adāء is not mumkin, you don't say the adāء is mumkin. We don't count that as adāء. When you give roasted meat back and the sheep is different. What if you didn't want roasted meat? You follow? Because لأنه لم يبقى عين المقصود. It's no longer the maqsood. It's something different. A different item altogether. فهمت? ولو, now different masla. We give an example of تغير غير فاحش. Or we give an example of تغير غير فاحش. Even here we say what's necessary? أداء of the عين المقصود. What's تغير غير فاحش? فضة. You have silver. فضربها دراهم. He molded it into silver coins. So it's changed form, but it's not fahish. Like it's still silver. For him, tibran, you got raw gold and you made it into what? The nanir. You got a sheep and you slaughtered it. You didn't roast it. What did you do? So it's not that much of a change. I get what you're saying. You could argue for it to change. But he's saying that when you have dhabahaha, it's still the sheep, but it is now slaughtered. You could argue against it, but we say this is fine. When you do shawaha, you've changed it totally. It's no longer a sheep. What is it? It's meat. It's food. Like it's changed. But you could argue against this. That's not what you're saying. لا ينقطع حق المالك في ظاهر الرواية. In the ظاهر الرواية, on all of these, who does it belong to? The Malik. And the previous example is تغير فاحش. So what happens now? It belongs to the ghasib. And you have to give the ziman. Understood? وكذلك لو غصب قطنا فغزله. You had cotton and you wove it. Or غزلا فنسجه. Or you had yarn and you kneaded it. Or you may not need it. That's for though. You weaved it or you stitched it together. Yes. لا ينقطع حق المال في ظاهر رواية. Basically the masla is this تغير غير فاحش. Because cotton and ghazal is like still similar. Because the cotton is going to become ghazal anyways, isn't it? That's the whole maqsood of the cotton. You don't like walk around with cotton wool and just like do. So kind of added value onto it. فهم؟ ويتفرع من هذا مسألة المضمونات. What's the masala? The masala, all those things have dhiman on it, same thing. If it's تغير فاحش, what do we say? It belongs to the ghasib and he has to give the dhiman. If it's not تغير فاحش, you have to do what? Give the ayn back and give any shortcoming in price. Based on this, وَلِذَا قَالَ لَوْ ظَهَرَ الْأَبْدُ الْمَغْصُوبُ بَعْدَمَا أَخَذَ الْمَالِكِ. Was it lazima? Huh? What comes in the text? ضِمَانُهُ مِنَ الْمَالِ وَلَوْ. Yeah. So if, yeah, what happens? I snatched away a slave from you. What did I do? I took the slave away from you. Correct? After I took the slave away from you, what happened? You went to court. Oh, the slave vanished. Slave vanished. Either I hid it, or what did you do? Or the slave ran away. You went to court, and the Qazi said, what do I have to pay? I have to pay the price. بعد أخذ المالك ذمان من الغاصب. You took the money from me. Yes? So I gave you the money for the slave. What happened now? ظهر الأبد. He came back. Or we found out that he never really ran away. He was just hiding. Or he went somewhere. I was trying to hide him so that you pay me the money and I could keep him. Like, for whatever reason. You following? Yes? Like for example, let's say for example, you got like a racehorse, a really good racehorse. It has a value, but it's really valuable. So the judge will say, okay, it's £1 million racehorse, but I know I can get more money from breeding, get it to breed with other animals. I get like, get it. Or just like a name or something. I steal a Mona Lisa. It's not for sale, is it? But it's very expensive. It's only one in the world. So I can say, well, I done ghasab of it. Okay, I can't find it, it's gone. What's Qazi going to do? Give the Ziman, give Ziman. I say, oh, here it is. I already paid Ziman's mine. So no, it doesn't work. Why? What happened now? If you take the Ziman, what happens now? كان العبد ملكا للمالك. The slave will go back to the Malik and he'll return back the Ziman. والواجب على المالك رد ما أخذ من قيمة العبد. Why? Because Adha comes before Qadha. When the Adha becomes mumkin, the Qadha becomes fasq and you give the Adha.
If he's given the money, can he make it into a pay?
If you want to, you have to have rida. That's a different transaction, but it's not by default. For him. So if you summarize again, this is a ma'mur bihi. So in ma'mur bihi, we have what? We have ada and we have qada. Ada means to give the aynul wajib ila mustahiqihi, to give the exact wajib back to the mustahiq. And qada means to give something like the wajib to the mustahiq. And ada can be kamil, where there is no nuqsan in the sifa. And qasir is where there is a slight nuqsan in the sifa. And qada can be kamil or qasir. When is it kamil? Now this is something we're going to go on to right now. Qada can be kamil or qasir as well, or naqis, whatever you want to call it. Kamil means that it's not that wajib, is it? It's a mithlu wajib, not ainul wajib. It's kamil. And how is it kamil? It's like exact same thing, surah and ma'na. An easy example would be, we have a mithli. Let's say for example, this mouse is sold on Amazon. Yes, this mouse here. Yes, sold on Amazon. Now, if I did the ghasab of this, or you did ghasab from me, and what do you have to do now? What's ada? Give it back as it is. What's ada naqis? Give it back with what? This missing. Yes, this part is missing. That's adaun qasir. If it's broken, damaged. Now, if you have this by you, can you do qada once it's available? Can you get me? Can you pay me the price, or get me another one? This is where to give back the original one. If this is broken, damaged, lost, what do you do now? You have to taslim mithl. Then you have to do what? Kamil. What's kamil? Another one like this. That's what surah and ma'na in concept, in meaning, so in form and ma'na is the same thing. This you got a new one, exact same one from Amazon. What happens now? This is now, am I right? Yes, but now if you don't have, they stop making it. What do you have to do now? Pay value, which is ma'nan. So surah is not this, is not a mouse, but it's a mithal in ma'na, in like we accept the money, the £10 or whatever, how much it costs, to be the equivalent of it. Does that make sense? Yes? So we'll explain that in more detail now as we go along. So qada. Amma al-qada'u fa naw'an. There are two types of qada. فالكامل منه تسليم مثل الواجب صورة ومعنى. To hand over, to submit, to give up something which is like the wajib in both surah and ma'na. In surah and ma'na, in both ways, what is it? It's like the asal. Okay, example. كَمَنْ غَصَبَ قَفِيزَ حِنْتَةٍ فَاسْتَهْلَكَهَا. A person who done ghasab of a qafiz. Qafiz like a liter or a measurement. So you got one qafiz of a hinta. Hinta means wheat. So you got one qafiz of hinta, 1 liter of hinta, And what did he do? He destroyed it. Yes? Destroyed means he used it up. So now, if it was not destroyed, he didn't use it, what would he have to do? The adāء is what? To give back the ayn. Exact same thing. If he used it up, ضَمِنَ قَفِيظَ حِنْتَةٍ, he will have to give dhiman of what? Another qafid, because hinta is mithli. Flour, wheat, rice, these are all, you can get another similar one. وَيَكُونُ الْمُؤَدَّى, the thing that has been given to the person is مِثْلًا لِلْأَوَّلِ صُورَةً وَمَعْنًا. This is a qadāء, صورة معنًا, rice, 1 kilo rice, 1 kilo rice. Are you following? You understand? Yes? And surah ma'na is the same thing. You can't tell the difference between which one is which. Yes? Acha. وَكَذَلِكَ الْحُكْمُ فِي جَمِيعِ الْمِثْلِيَّاتِ. You already done this before. You have two types of products. One is mithli and one is غير mithli. What's a mithli? That there are mithl, likes available in the market. So rice. Like if you say like 10 kilos of rice, all 10 kilos are the same more or less. There's a slight difference, but there's on average is the same. Wheat, barley, etc. In our time, because a lot of things are manufactured not by hand, by machinery. So things which were not mithliyat before become mithliyat now. Like for example, a pen in the past would have been not mithli because you can't get the exact same 2 pens. You might have by hand, they can be slightly different. But now they manufacture, so you can say, well, you can't tell the difference. So mithli is something that has the like available in the market. So whenever you have a mithli, what the qadāء is going to be, what's a qadāء kamil? Get the same mithli, give back to him. 1 kilo of rice, 1 kilo of barley, 1 kilo of whatever you've taken, give it back. فهمت؟ أشياء. الأداء القاصر أما القاصر فهو ما لا يماثل الواجب صورة ويماثل معنى. It doesn't resemble the wajib in surah, but it resembles it in what? Ma'na, meaning we accept it to be equivalent. For example, كَمَنْ غَصَبَ شَاةً, no two sheep are the same. The weight will be different, height is different, quality of meat is different. So if you take a sheep, فَهَلَكَتْ, and the sheep died, or you slaughtered it, what do you have to give? Qima. There's a qima and sheep. You have money in one hand, you have sheep in one hand. They're the same in surah, but the same in ma'na. وَالْقِيمَةُ مِثْلُ الشَّاةِ مِنْ حَيْثُ الْمَعْنَى لَا مِنْ حَيْثُ السُّورَةِ. Yes, clear? Okay. What's the hukm of this? وَالْأَصْلُ فِي الْقَضَاء الْكَامِل. In qadāء, what's the asl? Kamil. And then after that is naqis. And then we're going to go to examples. Yes? We stop here, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So yesterday we discussed the idea of adāء comes first, adāء kamil and adāء qasir. Then we went into qadāء kamil and qadāء qasir. This is the tartib, you have to give it back. And as we moved on, we said that if you have a situation, we said the adāء will come first, qadāء kamil and qadāء qasir. What we're saying now, what we're mentioning and discussing right now is that Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, based on the principle that in qadāء, the kamil comes first and the qasir. Imam Abu Hanifa says, إِذَا غَصَبَ مِثْلِيًّا فَهَلَكَ. If a person does ghasab, ghasab means start something, take something. What is it? Mithli. What is it? Mithli. There are two types, mithli and non-mithli. What is a mithli? Something which you can get, let me say as well. We have you can find the exact same thing or almost the exact same thing in the market. For example, in the old time days, rice. So rice is not like, okay, this grain of rice is different, this grain of rice is different. They all have more or less it's the same quality. Well, you have different qualities of rice, different types of rice, but one type of rice is fine. Both handfuls are the same. Both liters, both meters, well not liters, both pounds, kilos, how much ever the same. Similarly, barley, raisin, wheat. For him, that's called mithliyat. And then non-mithli is like a sheep. No two sheep are the same. So if a person were to snatch away somebody's mithli, then what's the rule? You have to give it back. So what's the ideal? You do adāء kamil, give back the exact same thing. If there's a nuqsan in the wasf, then you give it back adāء qasir. If you don't have that, you give back qadāء. And then qadāء kamil is giving back the exact same thing. And qadāء naqis would be suratan, money. Are you following? So if a person was to snatch somebody's mithli away, whether it's rice, dates, vinegar, water, whatever it is mithli. فَهَلَكَ, then he destroyed it, he used it up. فِي يَدِهِ, he either got perished or he destroyed it, he used it up. وَانْقَطَعَ ذَلِكَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. So originally, the adāء, So the Adāء Kāmil gives the same thing back. Adāء Qāsir give it back with a shortcoming in quality. The second situation is what? Qadāء. And Qadāء Kāmil is what? Go and get the same thing from the market and give it to him. But what is inqata an dhalika aydin nas? That product became extinct, no longer available in the market. Are you following? That product becomes no longer available. Inqata dhalika an aydin nas. People's access to that item is gone. In our time, for example, let's say the item is no longer produced. So let's say, for example, you had this whatever brand name this pointer is. So if you start it from me, the Adāء Kāmil, you give it back to me. Adāء Nāqis, you give it back to me with a shortcoming in the sifa. Qadāء Kāmil, you get the exact same. It's a mithli now because of the mass production and it's the exact same thing. And if it's out of production, in qata dhalika an aydin nas, what do you have to give now? Qadāء Qāsir, which is what? Which is what? Suratan. So zamina qīmatahu zamina qīmatahu. He will have to do what? Give the qīmah. Now the question arises is the price on which day? The day he stole the item, or he snatched the item away, or the day he done what? The day the case went to court. So we say yawm al-khusuma. Imam Abu Hanifah rahmatullah alayhi saying yawm al-khusuma, the day the case went to court. Why? Because لأن العجز عن تسليم المثل الكامل إنما يظهر عند الخصومة. Him being unable to give the mithl al-kamil, which is the exact same item, only becomes clear when the case goes to court. Are you following? So in this situation, this scenario, you have to give what? The taslim. You have to give what? The qīmah based on which day? The day the case went to court. Because that's the day when he said, well, he's not able to give the mithl al-kamil anymore. فهمت؟ فأما قبل الخصومة, before the court case, لا فلا تصور yes what you have فلا جي فلا before خصومة فنو. So if before خصومة there's no إجز لتصور حصول المثل من كل وجه, because before he went to court, what's the possibility? He can get the mithl. When he went to court and he realized, okay, he has to pay the mithl and he can't find it now anymore. So Imam Abu Hanifah rahmatullah alayhi will say that when you have a mithli, the mithli becomes munqati an aydin nas, you have to give the price on the day of the khusuma. Another hukam. فَأَمَّا مَا لَا مِثْلَ لَهُ لَا صُورَةً وَلَا مَعْنًا. As for that thing which has no surah, that thing which has no surah. Yes? لَا مَعْنًا وَلَا, meaning the qadāء, the thing which is qadāء, it is neither suratan or ma'nan resembling the asal. لا يمكن إيجاب القضاء فيه بالمثل. Yes? The qadāء, you have the asal. And then you have what? The qadāء. And the qadāء, the deputy, either resembles it in surah and ma'na or ma'na only. You can't get ma'na and not surah. You can't get surah without ma'na. Yes, or ma'na. If it's neither of these two are available, then there's no qadāء. You want me to give a qadāء. For example, here look. وَلِهَذَا الْمَعْنَى قُلْنَا إِنَّ الْمَنَافِئَ لَا تُضْمَنُ بِالْإِتْلَافِ. Based on this, what do we say? Based on this, we say that if somebody's manafi' are destroyed, what happens? If the manafi' are destroyed, there is no dhiman in this. What does this mean? This means that, let's say a car, okay? One is the ayn, the car itself, the solid car, that's called that. One is its usage, for him, manafi', riding it, using it. So if, when you, let's say I done ghasab of your pen, correct? Now I have to give, what's possible to do qadāء of the pen? Either give the exact pen back with kamil, or nuqsan in the surah, nuqsan in the sifa, adāء nāqis, or you give a qadāء kamil by you giving the exact same pen of his mithli, or you give the qīmah. But usage has no mithl. Like I use it for 5 minutes. Is there a using of 5 minutes that you can match up with that. If you use my pen for 5 minutes, my pen is not your pen. Are you following? You can argue against this in certain things, but you get the idea that the manafi, that the usage has no equivalent. Huh?
Yeah, not become nafis. Even if it's because it won't be a qadha.
No, what we say is you can do qadha of the item, not of the manafi of the item. So you have the pen and using the pen. And the pen can have ada, qadha, kamil, nakis. But the using of the pen, what is the surah or the ma'na which can replace the using of the pen?
But if you do adda, it won't be a kamil adda, would it? If you return it.
The exact same pen?
Yeah.
It's kamil ada.
Because you've used some-
Yeah, but we're not, that's what I'm saying. This can't be returned. You can only do qaza of this or ada of this. You can't do this. So that's why we're saying here that if the manafi la tudmanu bil itlaf, if something is destroyed, what happens? The manafi are destroyed. Like you use the manafi. No, sorry, manafi destroyed. If you use the item, there's no dhiman in this when you destroy the item. لأن إيجاب الضمان بالمثل متعذر. It is impossible to do dhiman بمثل. I say use the exact same amount that I used it. It's not possible. Are you following? Do you understand what he's saying here? وإيجاب بالعين كذلك. Similarly, likewise, to do ijab bil ayn. What? To do what? Ijab bil ayn, meaning, okay, give the لأن العين لا تماثل المنفعة لا صورة ولا معنى. Like you can't. There's no mithl in the usage, and even if you were to say, give something else like a ayn, a solid thing, because a usage is what? It's an abstract item. There's no mithl for the abstract. That's an argument that the other imam say that you can give the rental cost. If the item had been rented for that amount of time, what would it cost? That's one way of looking at it. But we say that it's not. That's basically like a sulah. That's not really the actual mithal. Fahim? So the usage manafi does not have an equal. Yes. And similarly, if you give an ayn, if you say, okay, you have to give an ayn exchange, what do you have to give? Cash, rent money. What would the equivalent in rent? If you were to rent that item for like one, let's say I use a car for 1 day. You say, okay, what would the cost of renting a car be for 1 day? You give that much money. So what are you saying? You're giving cash for usage. Even though it's permissible in rent, it's not mithal. For him. So you can't do dhiman in manafi either by, there's no mithal for it, and you can't do dhiman bil ayn. لأن العين لا تماثل المنفعة لها صورة ولا معنى. It does not resemble the manfa'a in surah ma'na. Do you understand? Are you following? Does that make sense, everybody online? So the usage of that item, the usage of that card, the usage of that pen, the usage of that horse, whatever, you can't, there's no mithal, another usage that you can match up and become equal. If you think of the price, and that's not surah and ma'na, the same of it. Maybe the later fuqaha might have given ijazah to avoid fasad and fitna, etc. But this is the asal masla. I give an example. Kama idha ghasaba abdan. What do? He stole somebody's slave. He snatched somebody's slave, and he used the slave for 1 month. So this is the ayn, and this is the manfa'a, manafi. This is the manfa'a. Correct? Yes? Now, if you have an ayn, what's the ada of the ayn? When you have ghasa, what do you have to do? Give it back, don't you? Fahim? You following? So what do you do regarding the abd? What's the ada kamil? What's the ada in here? Give the exiled slave back. If you wounded him or damaged him or something, that becomes what? You wounded him or he got sick or something by you, that becomes naqis, ada naqis. And then there's no qadha suratan, because no two slaves, mithliyat, there's no surah. But you can have, so there's no qadha naqis. There's no qadha kamil. But it's qadha naqis, which is what? Money, equivalent, if you were to kill him or you were to die in your possession. As for the manfa'ah, there is no ada, because you can't give it back. And there's no qadha, because qadha can either come in the form of the abstract, and not two abstractions, you can't give an abstract formula. And if you give an abstract the ayn, that's a different item altogether. If you give the value in terms of rental value or usage value, that's not this mithal, surah ama'nan. Fahim? Aw daran, ghasaba daran. You stole a house. فَسَكَنَ فِيهَا شَهْرًا. You just took control of it for how long? A month. ثُمَّ رَدَّ الْمَغْصُوبَ إِلَى الْمَالِكِ. Then he returned the maghsoob, meaning the the stolen item to the owner. لا يجب عليه ضمان المنافع. We will say here, we're not saying he's absolved of his responsibility and duty. What are we saying? He's sinful. Those manafi that he used, he's sinful. And he has to ask forgiveness or do some kind of surah, convince the guy, get the guy to forgive him, the istihlal. However, shar'an, in court, there's no way we can make up for the manafi that he lost out. Is that clear to everybody? Khilafan al-Shafi rahmatullah. I'm not sure if you guys didn't want to check it. Did he say that the Mutaakhirun Hanafi have changed the fatwa? I don't remember. Because what will happen, and this to make up for the loss, maybe there's a bit of a fatwa in the Shafi madhab to avoid fitna and fasad, etc. But Imam Shafi rahmatullah, what does he say? That indeed, what would you do? You would put the rental value or whatever the cost of using the house for, like 1 month's rent basically, you pay that much. Yes? Ji. What do you say? So according to us, baqil ithmu hukman lahu. The ruling is basically sinful. وَانْتَقَلَ جَزَاؤُهُ إِلَى دَارِ الْآخِرَةِ. In court we can't do anything about it. In the hereafter between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will deal with you accordingly. Is that clear? Acha. وَلِهَذَا الْمَعْنَى, going forward we say, لا تضمن منافع البضع. منافع البضع meaning, if somebody has the right to intercourse. You say, when does a man have right to intercourse? Marriage or concubine. Yes, so if a person has a right to intercourse via marriage or via being the woman being a concubine, what happens then? If somebody then shahada batala ala talaq, what happens? The woman wants to get divorced. Husband said, no, I'm not divorcing, I'm happy. So what did she do? Or two other people, or this on their own, two people on their own, or three people on their own. What did they say? We will witness that he gave talaq. What's the qazi going to do? If two people come forward and they claim that we heard this man giving his wife talaq, the qazi has to give ruling upon what? The zahir. So he will test them, are they honest, are they dignified? And two honest people who we can't find any problem in their testimony, not people who always lie, yes, and make up stuff, but people are honest. And then for some reason they got into this fitna, they did this sin, and they testified falsely that he gave talaq. What happens now because of this? The qazi says talaq. You can't live with his talaq. Fahimd? Yes? So, now if they give this false testimony, what happens now? He's not able to have intercourse with her. So you say, well, that when you give testimony, what I missed out on, that's manafi. You can't make up for that. Are you following? If somebody kills his wife, yes, then it's like, okay, you will get qisas, you can get, or you can forgive the qisas and get what? The diya. But you can't say, well, I lost, I gave mahar, I gave mahar, and now my wife's lost, and the milk al-buda, the manaf al-buda is gone. That's not mithl. You can't. It's gone. Similarly, وَلَا بِالْوَتْءِ حَتَّى لَوْ وَتِئَ زَوْجَةَ الْإِنسَانٍ لَا يَضْمَنُ لِلزَّوْجِ شَيْئًا. What he's saying here, you have something called uqrun. What's uqrun? Acha. This is basically wat'i bila haddin or bishubhati. If a person has intercourse with somebody and by mistake, misunderstanding, let's say for example, nowadays we all have, our life is very different, we all have our own rooms, but let's say for example it's like poverty, refugee camps, there's not a lot, somebody goes to the wrong tent, wrong place, night time, there's no light, and there's intercourse with somebody by mistake. So any intercourse which doesn't have a had, meaning is not intentionally zina or rape, this is a mistake, identity or something happened, right? What happens now? If a person does wati with a zawj of an insan, yes? Are you following? So somebody's wife is intercourse with by mistake. No, there's not, if it's purposely, if it's rape or they both were happy that that's zina, then that's punishment for both of them. Or if it's rape, then one person get punished. But it's a mistake with shubha, wrong place, mistake, identity. For him, so if he does intercourse with that woman, then what will happen? He said there's no zima for the zawj. The zawj doesn't get anything. For him, you can't say, oh well, that was my right, you violated my right. It's like there's nothing for that. For him, you got it so far? The question that arises is, what happens then is that because of the difficulty, the trauma, the difficulty the woman undergoes because of this, whether she was married or unmarried, if there is no had, meaning because of what be shubha, the mistake, you something called uqrun. You got it? Something called uqr. It's in a hasha somewhere. What's uqrun mean? A penalty you give to the woman as a recompensation for being violated unintentionally. If it was intentionally, then she's punishment for rape. So if it's wati bi shubha, what does she get? Something called uqr. Do you understand? And that's not for the husband. It's for the woman. Are you following me? So in this situation, in this scenario, what will happen? That's what we're trying to say here, that the uqr doesn't go to the husband. It's not the man's right that he's getting uqr. Who's getting this? The woman, because she was violated by mistake. Her ihtiram, ihtiram al-mahal, because mistake happened and her honor was, we say, well, not on purpose, but something happened because of this. What we're going to say, she gets uqr. But that's not the man, not for the husband. What is that for? The woman. Does everybody understand this? So in manafi, like manafi of the dar, manafi of the abd, manafi of the bud'ah, those things don't have a mithal, so there will be no recompensation for those things. Understood? Acha, another hukam. If there is no mithal, suratan or ma'nan, but the Sharia says this is a surah, or is a ma'na, then we accept it. Illa idha warada ash-shar'u bil mithl. If the Sharia says this thing is a mithal for this, even though it is not a surah or ma'nan mumathala, فَيَكُونُ مَثَلًا شَرْعِي. It's not مثل aqli, it's مثل شرعي. For example, raisin is مثل aqli, surah and ma'na. Yes? Compensation is aql, is ma'nan. Sharia says this is a qada for it. So okay, Sharia says it. فَيَجِبُ قَضَاؤُهُ بِالْمِثْلِ الشَّرْعِي. That's muqaddam. وَنَذِيرُهُ مَا قُلْنَا أَنَّ الْفِدْيَةَ فِي حَقِّ الشَّيْخِ الْفَانِ مِثْلُ الصَّوْمِ. If a person is very, very old, where is he? He's very old. So what do we say regarding him? He becomes a shaykhun fani. Where is he? A shaykh al-fani. Meaning shaykh al-fani meaning he's going to perish. Meaning he's not going to recover from his illness as far as we're concerned. Taht al-asbab, he's not going to recover. He's just going to go downhill and he's going to probably pass away in his illness and his weakness. And he can't fast. So what did he do? But fidya is feeding somebody. Isn't it? So fidya means feed masakin. So fasting is staying away from food. And fidya is feeding people. It's not surah, is it? Ma'na not suratan. But the Sharia says is what? Is mithal. So it's a mithal shari. So you have to follow that one. Do you understand? وَالدِّيَةُ فِي الْقَتْلِ خَطَأً مِثْلُ النَّفْسِ مَا أَنَّهُ لَا مُشَابَةَ بَيْنَهُمَا. If somebody was to do what? Manslaughter, by mistake he killed somebody, driving recklessly, using a tractor recklessly, playing with a knife, some kind of reckless behavior, not intentional murder, but a mistake, and he killed somebody, what do you have to give? Diya. So one person is killed, manslaughter, yes, involuntary manslaughter or voluntary, I don't know, involuntary manslaughter meaning he didn't intend to do it but it happened. He has to give diya. But the diya, what's a diya? Diya and nafs, it doesn't really add up. 100 camels on one man, this doesn't surah. But the Sharia says this is a mithal, so we accept this mithal. Are you following? So if you go back over here, we have the ma'mur bihi. In the ma'mur bihi we have taslim of the aynul wajib, that's called ada. Or taslim of the mithlu wajib, that's called what? Qadha. And then in ada we have kamil, or we have qasir. And then in qadha we have kamil and we have qasir. The loss, if you have ada qasir, if there's a nuqsan in the sifa, and if you're able to pay back for the loss, you have to add in.
So on the qasir, the branch.
Qasir, you could possibly do that, yeah. Fahim? And then we say here, qasir means man nuqsan fi sifatihi, and kamil means suratan or ma'nan. Or qasir means ma'nan, but not suratan. And a kamil is also mithlu shari'i as well. That's kamil. Sharia says that's a ruling, so that's kamil. Understood? So this is a summary that we've done here. We've done ma'mur, ada, and this is the way. You always go for kamil, qasir. That's a ideal this way. Fahim? Okay. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.